We just hosted one of the biggest AI advertising competitions in history, with over 140,000 people voting on 440 submissions. It was an incredible competition, and now we're at the finish line. The time has come to vote on the best projects from this competition. We partnered up with the ad agency Vika to host an incredible competition where our contestants will win up to $5,000. Now, the first place winner will receive $5,000 creative opportunities with Vika. Enroll it in the Curious Refuge AI advertising course, a free Curious Refuge t-shirt, and most importantly, bragging rights, because you are the winner of the very first AI advertising competition in the Curious Refuge community. Okay, with all that being said, let's meet our judges.
My name is Dave Clark. I am a filmmaker and technologist out of San Diego, California, and LA. Kind of worked in the advertising industry for most of my career as both a creative director and a film commercial director, and more recently, I would say in the last 5 to 6 years, transitioned more to full-time narrative storytelling, filmmaking, and now generative AI storytelling as well.
I'm Michael Shields. I'm the founder and CEO of Vika. Together with Curious Refuge, we sponsored this contest. Vika is engaged in the business of AI filmmaking specifically for advertising and specifically for kinds of businesses, whether they be small local businesses or Amazon resellers or B2B companies that have never had advertising assets before. So this contest is very much in the soul of what we do. My background, I'm a 20-year veteran of developing television ad products at Viacom and at 21st Century Fox and Triple Lift, and we're very happy to be sponsoring this contest.
Hey, I'm Nick Cleveroff. I'm Chief Creative at Native Foreign. We love to tell stories, brand stories, original stories, and everything in between. We've been playing around with AI tools and really excited to see all these spots.
Hi, my name is Annie Hanlon. I'm the co-founder of Playbook, where we work with clients in between the emerging tech and content space. I originally come from advertising and commercials, so I was very excited for this contest and going from there into VR, which I call my gateway drug, which then got me into all things emerging tech and content and all of the amazing storytelling possibilities. So thrilled to see what all the submissions have accomplished here.
Hey everyone, Ross Martin. I'm the president of Known, number 3 on the Ad Age agency list this year. We're a fiercely independent, employee-owned, full-service media and creative agency. We work globally, and also I'm the founder and general partner of Lunch Partners, which is a venture firm for CEOs and CMOs to invest in early stage businesses.
Okay, now that we met our judges, let's talk about the assignment. The artists were challenged to create a commercial for one of 3 brands. The first is Culture Pop Soda, the second is Pure Water, and the third is Whipnotic. Artists were given assets that they could use, but they had to use artificial intelligence to create the majority of the advertisement. The submissions varied, but we whittled them down to a select few. Let's take a look at a few of our favorite. We're going to kick things off by taking a look at the projects created for Culture Pop Soda. So let's start with this ad from Andrew Goodman.
Culture Pop Soda. Introducing Culture Pop Soda, the soda that's good for you. Made with real organic fruits, bold spices, and live probiotics, every sip is bursting with flavor. Lightly fizzy, deliciously different, and just the right amount of sweetness. Culture Pop Soda. A soda you can feel good about.
One of the things I was particularly impressed by with this one was, it's always a challenge to bring into the AI filmmaking realm the actual product itself, and not only to just use it in a way that, showcases the product in the right light, but to do little things like kind of rotating around while you're introducing other elements like the splashing water. And this one did obviously an excellent job of that.
Yeah, I would totally agree with Michael. I think what's really impressive about this spot, first of all, it's so high energy. It's so fun. You have to smile. You have to watch. And the product is the hero. So I love how fun this is. I love how high energy it is. And I love really how it champions the brand and the product itself in a way that you can't walk away and forget culture pop.
Yeah, and I'll just add that I think obviously visually it's very very lush and appealing from a creative art direction standpoint, but I think musically, I think they took it up a notch where it kind of gave it. It kind of brought it to this whole nother level. I think of it kind of reminds me a little bit of like K-pop commercials you might see like over in Korea or I'm half Korean, so I always think about those kind of commercials or in Japan. But it had this energy to it that felt very global. And I thought that was kind of cool, considering people listen to music from all over now.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really engaging and just the use of kind of landing on something really specific for a brand that just felt, to your point, yeah, like a global way. So the audience could be very broad for this. But I thought it was really fun and yeah, incredibly well executed.
Okay, so that's a pretty impressive first submission. Now let's take a look at this submission from Rachel Puchkoff.
Sure, your soda's fizzy, but is it also gutsy? Fizzy and gutsy. Culture Pop, the best soda on the block.
Obviously, it's great when you can kind of bear out a narrative that's directly related to the themes that the brand's trying to elevate. And, as Culture Pop brings this product to market, it's really emphasizing that fizzy and gutsy, and just the little narrative to back it up was it's just fun and cute and great for the brand.
Yeah, I thought it was incredibly original and so, again, well executed. All the different locations and playing with it and really telling a story that at the end you actually felt really connected to that product.
See, I think we're all blown away by this. There's no question. Like, it's so impressive. And if we're going to be critical at all on this one, I would say great attempt at nailing the brand in your message, but I don't think ultimately that this goes far enough towards actually paying off gutsy at all. And I feel like the creators didn't have the benefit of working with the brand team on it, so I think a round of notes or two, and this thing's really cooking. But I think they needed to push that gutsiness a little bit more situationally so that they were sort of paying off some of the brand attributes that we're trying to bring to life.
Yeah, and I'll add that what I do like about it is I like the throwback quality to it. It feels like an ad I saw as a kid growing up, which I thought was pretty cool. And a lot of kids now like stuff that is cool again from the '90s. So I think that it's kind of on trend. I agree. I felt like that one was it felt a bit rushed, but I mean I like it. I just feel like they probably could have made it a 30, maybe carved out a little bit more of the narrative. I think.
It's interesting though what you were both saying, Ross and Dave, because it's it was sort of balancing that like visual aesthetic quality of it to then the originality of it and just sort of just putting it out there. And exactly, it may not be perfect, but really kind of trying different things. So yeah, again, it was a great group of submissions because I really admire, what they were all trying to do. But yeah, but I agree, Dave. It did feel like a throwback in a fun way.
Okay, let's take a look at our final Culture Pop submission from Simon Meyer.
This is me, Carl. I'm a pretty normal guy, I would say. One day, I walked into the office kitchen, opened the fridge, and bam! There it was. A can of Culture Pop soda. What if I just drank it? Should I just drink it? What if I didn't choose boring for the first time in my life? I could break out and be myself for the first time ever. I could quit my job and live on a sailboat. I could skydive into an active volcano. I could go surfing or skateboarding or slacklining or... Not today. I don't have time for that. Maybe tomorrow or next year.
You cannot be too critical of these because the conditions and the constraints and the limitations, all that. I mean, it's so impressive that this was made. So like props to the creators on it. I just couldn't get past the Carfax of it all. Like
right.
Carfax. It's like, we know this character from another brand and it's really impossible to reconcile because that's such a brand that people know. So I wouldn't have chosen what they chose. And I think that really is like a flaw that sort of distracts from everything else they were able to achieve in the spot.
and it felt like you could have popped any brand in there, right, with the opening of the refrigerator door, right? So it felt like, while it was really well executed from a animation standpoint, right, in terms of like the visual artistry, really well executed, it just felt like generic messaging that didn't really elevate that brand. And you could have popped other brands behind that refrigerator door.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, I'm kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. That was actually, I really enjoyed that one. I thought it stood out. Yeah, I think visually, I liked it because it pushed the medium where we didn't see a lot of that in the entrance. Like, we actually had a mascot for a brand. Like, maybe it's not the perfect mascot, but it kind of shows that a mascot could work. Kind of a caricature of the brand, if you will. And like, I don't know, out of all of them, I think it made me pay the most attention. And what I mean by that is I was actually trying to like this character intrigued me because I was like, oh, I see myself in this guy. And I kind of related to like, oh, all these things it reminded me working 9 to 5 at an ad agency. And I was like having all these thoughts. And it's like, at the end of the day, I just want to like go to the kitchen and just grab a drink. So I did love that from it, but maybe I'm in the minority there.
I am with you, Dave. I actually thought it was a really, really interesting spot. I did think about the Carfax thing, but I wasn't judging on that because obviously there was no brand input. I think, maybe this is another one of them that maybe with a little bit of brand back and forth, there would have been some other mascot chosen. But knowing what it's like creating stuff with AI, knowing what challenges are with consistency, with storytelling, I think that they did a stellar job at putting together a cohesive, fun, light story. I did get the sense that, that it was a tasty orange beverage. And like, to me, it's okay that it could be swapped for anything else. That doesn't really matter that much. I think, to just like Dave, this was kind of one of the ones that I remembered, like after I closed my laptop and walked away, like I was like, what were those spots again? I was like, oh yeah, there was the Fox one where he like wishes he had a better life with this soda. So to me, it stuck with me. It's not perfect, but I thought it shows great creativity.
I think as creative leaders in the industry that if you're going to use generative AI to do something like this kind of brand expression, you can't go exactly where another brand came before you. You can't go grab another iconic character and appropriate it as your own. I mean, it seems to me a violation. Like, that is a responsibility that we kind of have here. I mean, you're literally infringing on someone else's character and mascot. And
is it a direct 1-to-1 ripoff of Carfax, or is it just kind of like he's a fox in a suit? I mean, in a button down kind of thing.
It's totally different.
I don't remember
Personality, but when you look at them side by side, which maybe you could pull up in the video here, it's like, damn, it's close enough.
Got it.
And I think they would have a real problem with this out in the world.
I was struck by that when I first saw it as well, Ross. I definitely, if you go right to Carfax, you can't not. But what I really loved is people talk so much about what does it mean to direct and create with AI. And I thought there were camera moves, there was lighting, there was a story arc. And I thought that was
You're right.
incredible to see, because even, 4 months ago, I don't know if that would have been possible.
Yeah.
There's definitely, the fox looked different, right? Sometimes he had nails, sometimes, there were little things that aren't quite consistent, but sort of the kind of the mountain that this filmmaker went to climb to create this, I thought was really impressive.
All right, let's take a look at the next brand, Path Water. Let's kick things off with this really interesting project from Ludovit Nastesen.
In the heart of nature, a single drop begins its journey. From the depths of a stone cave, a drop of water becomes a river carving its path. Try Path, a bottle on a mission, built to endure, crafted to care for our planet.
I really enjoyed it. I think, again, kind of just from a creative, artistic, if I was a creative director on that project, like, I would be happy with visually how he brought it to life with just the brand and the look of the brand. And it was, and I love the voice that he chose. I felt like, it felt like a very strategic choice, for that type of storytelling. Kind of like harpens back to, like, obviously you think about like Old Spice, you think about some of these other kind of brands that have like a specific type of voice. So even though like it had this dark tone to it, the voice kind of still made it fun and made it mysterious. it kind of felt like you were going on this adventure, which I thought was cool.
Kind of reminded me of like a tabletop shoot. We've done a lot of main title sequences. And so I can appreciate this in that sense, that it was a really fun exploration of like, what does a tabletop shoot look like with AI? And then, kind of ultimately resulting in that bottle.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, to kind of reiterate what Dave said and jam on that a bit, one of the things I think that's going to be a challenge for the industry and that we have to do successfully is kind of show that you can use generative AI to create style, right? And a consistency of style, whether it be from the voice, right? The visual imagery used here, the kind of shot that was chosen, and even the narrative, right? Even the copy. All of those things were consistent and unique. And what we want to avoid is things that feel generic, right? And this one certainly didn't.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one really struck me. It's in my top 3. And because it's so bold and it's so kinetic, like it's not finished, it's like they ran out of time, right? It looks like they ran out of time and they almost got there, but I know if they had another day, they tighten up the VO, the ending would be a little bit punchier. Some of the seams that you can sort of make out, you wouldn't really be able to make out, but damn, was this a solid attempt to do something. They really went for it. And I think I have to applaud it because it stands out to me like nothing in any of the top submissions that is even remotely like this. So the unique vision, the boldness and the confidence, like I applaud it. I think they really went for it, and you could tell.
Yeah, when I watched this one, the word that first came to mind was like dynamic, because it almost takes you a minute to be like, wait, is that real? Like, you sort of see how incredible it looked. I think this filmmaker also leaned into something that, maybe did kind of hide some things that maybe a different location wouldn't, but that's exactly what they should be thinking about when they're trying to produce and create something successful. But yeah, I agree. I thought this one was really fantastic as well. Again, I had probably 10 top choices, to be honest, because this is just another great example. And you could see almost like a campaign building off this as well, which I was also trying to think about, like, as they brand Path, where does that take that brand? And you could see, based on this just quick piece, a consistent brand messaging that could roll out from it.
It was hard to get down to the finals because there are just so many good pieces in different ways. And Ross, to your point, like, I really dug this one. There were those like moments with some of the transitions that just feel like they're just not done yet. And so I was just like, oh, I just wish they could have been done, because that to me would like catapult it even further higher.
If you look at this, right, like it just completely breaks category convention, right? And in this case, like the convention would be, first of all, it's one of the only spots we saw where they're sort of using AI to talk about the actual product inside the product, right? So it's like, this is about the water as much as it's about the can or the bottle. It's about both. And like, I compare it to all we've really seen in this category, which is like Liquid Death, of course, but like before that, the dominant player, Poland Spring, what it means to be from Maine, and everything's just perfect and blue sky. And it's just like, there's no problems with the planet. And it's just like euphoric. But this is like dark. Like, how did they achieve that with such a dark spot? The music, the voice, the colors, the textures. And yet I'm like, wow, this is the cleanest, most refreshing, beautiful water I will ever have. But they did it all in darkness. And I don't think anyone's ever done that. So that in and of itself is something for the brand to learn from, I think, and to play with going forward.
I love this, Ross, making your case, trying to sway some judges' opinions here. I love it. And I should note, to Nick's point, we had over 440 people submit to this competition. So there were so many incredible submissions that weren't able to get into the finals. But you can see all of those submissions by checking out the gallery page, which we'll link to below this video. Okay, next up is this really impressive submission from Maxim Serenko. So a quick apology to Maxim. We actually did not have the ability to record the feedback on your submission, but the judges did review your submission and give appropriate votes. So let's move on to the next submission. Our next submission is from Riccardo Bernardini.
It was here 35 years ago where we made our last stand. The great battle against the plastic monster.
Wait, what? There was a monster?
Yes, that's how it happened, Pin. We deployed our forces and attacked and invaded their territories. And then finally, after a big battle, we destroyed the big monster in a big explosion.
So that's how it happened?
Absolutely. It was all for the fish. Huh.
I mean, obviously this piece is a lot of fun, right, to begin with. But there are some things that, like from an AI filmmaking perspective, that I think were really impressive and ambitious. Creating the monster out of plastic bottles was one of them. Incorporating the same consistency of the monster throughout different scenes, which is really difficult in AI filmmaking, and doing things like including it on the passing truck. Right. So those were all kind of technical elements that I was super impressed by. And then obviously the payoff at the end with the fish is just adorable from a storytelling perspective.
It was very ambitious, Michael, and I really like when people swing for the fences. Again, I think it's one of the ones that isn't, like, maybe technically not the best and has some flaws and some issues, but I appreciate that they really tried to go for it. And I like the end, that it's the two fish that are actually telling this story. I wish that their mouths did move. We're kind of like still imagining that they're the ones saying these things. But it's also very unexpected for, a water story, which I think is fun. And really, it's like almost like a kid's story, it's like a children's book, and it's cute and I like it.
Yeah, I enjoyed, I thought they were able to get a lot of narrative in a very short amount of time. So I thought the storytelling was there. And because of that, I'll say it, I wish it looked a little better because the storytelling was there. Like there were some shots that just looked like kind of like Runway Gen 2. Whereas if they might have done a couple more generations and like Kling or something, it probably would have looked almost photoreal. And marry that with just such a really cool conceptual idea, like for the monster, for instance, made out of recycled bits. Like it's just so creative. So, I probably judged it a little bit more too harshly on the final finish versus like the actual storytelling. I thought the storytelling was great, and I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. I thought it was very refreshing and very original. My only note on it is the brand to me got lost in the storytelling because it was so epic that you almost forgot that there was a brand involved. So that would be my one big flag on it.
And our final path submission comes from Roberto Camoro. I hope you enjoy.
75% of all aluminum produced is still in use today, melted down and made into new products. You may not care a lot now, but in 25 years, they will.
It was almost my third choice. It didn't make it. It was there. It was close. But one of the things is like I felt like I kind of seen it before. And I feel like you're using generative AI where you could literally make it look like anything, kind of like some of the other examples we saw. And while I thought it was well executed, I thought, they used the latest and greatest tools to get that kind of closer to photorealism. It almost like did it a disservice, I think, in where they could have took it into the future. I felt like the story they were setting up, it almost like it should have landed with like this bigger image that only Gen AI could have created, but they had that opportunity. They kind of missed it with it. But I thought, like I said, another one where I think they understand story and I think it does paint the brand in a really good light.
I think this one aimed for poignancy. Again, like as Dave just alluded to, with a formula that we've seen before, but it was still well executed, right? And still use the tools of Gen AI to achieve that poignancy. Could have gone further, I think. I agree with Dave, but I think it was just well executed across the board.
This is a space that I'm very passionate about. Probably, gosh, I guess maybe a decade or more ago now, I made a viral film for the United Nations that was like a water bottle rolling on the ground, and it follows the water bottle. And, back in the day, we made it by actually building a rig, like a skateboard rig that was like, custom made and followed this bottle, and it really spin. And, it was kind of about the craft, but it was also about the messaging. And so I really wanted to like love this one because I think the message is good, but I also am just not super excited when AI tools are just used to like make the exact same thing that could have just been shot or could have just, been stock or something else. So for that reason, it falls a little short for me. I do like that they're the only ones that actually showed that you can like write your name on the bottle, which was like a cool feature as a, a parent, that I was like, oh, that's actually something cool that, is interesting, that would make me maybe want to buy it. And nobody else even explored or touched that. So that was nice. But again, I think there's just a few things for me, using AI tools to flex creativity a bit more is a bit more of an exciting use of it.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think the emotional impact was there and was great, but it didn't feel like it broke any new boundaries. And there was some opportunity to do that, but it was definitely in my top 5 for sure.
Now let's move on to the finalist for Whipnotic. This first submission comes from Justin Tolley, and I gotta say, it's pretty impressive.
Make your taste bud twirl. Unleash the fun, it's the Whipnotic girl. Whipnotic, spur you gotta try. Taste the first, that'll make you fly. Put it up, Whipnotic, you know why.
Yeah, just another one with like, again, attention to detail. I mean, this was a tough one that again was like, it was going to be one of my selections. It ended up not being. But I think again, it's like, the brand that, they showed a creative direction. They showed kind of a story using music as a device. They're probably a King Wallonius fan, the guy who did BBL Drizzy. Shout out Wallonius, who I'm a friend of. But you can kind of start to see how, this generative AI music, it becomes a storytelling device in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to marry it to the brand, to the visuals, to the fun, like that's a win. And that's a superpower. I think, marketers and advertisers, like they didn't have that 10 years ago when we were deep in the game. Like that's going to unlock a whole new way of imagining your brand.
I loved almost every aspect of this one. This was a top 3 one for me. And in part because, so many of the films that we saw were super ambitious in their use of different tools, some of which are specific to AI filmmaking, frame interpolation, that sort of thing, some of which are leveraging the Adobe suite of the past. And this one showed all of those things, really showed all of the aspects of the technical aspects of AI filmmaking together with a way of traditionally editing a video. And then the fact that it was maybe one of the better uses of custom music that I think we saw really brought the whole narrative home. And I think it elevated the brand. It showed the product the right way, even mentioned things that were key to the functionality of the product, about like the swirl and then pressing the button to initiate the introduction of flavor. So there were so many elements to this one, and I think it delivered on most, if not all of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If this were the voice, I hit my button, I turned around, first, like, I'm here, you got it. Like, this to me clearly stands above all the submissions, and I'll tell you why. First, Michael said it, the music is as close to masterful as we've seen in the submissions. The overall, the technical prowess, the confidence, obviously the great attention to detail, and the control of the technical aspects here, just really admirable. The overall energy and cadence, and spirit and vibe really brings us out of the functional world of like it's like there's only one category leader here. And here these guys are coming out of nowhere. It's like saying, what's your second favorite ketchup? Like, nobody knows what their second favorite, whip solution is. Like, that's not a thing. And these guys are coming at it from such a different place. It's so beautiful. The permutations of the images, the copywriting. This is a challenger brand that is trying to establish itself in a lifestyle kind of way. And it's so courageous to do that. I would put this like through one round of notes, and I'd put it on like the biggest platforms that we've got in the world. Like this is really there or very close. And whoever made this should feel really proud. And I hope I hope millions of people see this spot.
Yeah, I really like this one as well. And I thought just that it was very intentional. Even though there was a lot happening, you stuck with it. The use of like the cast and how they pulled in, which sometimes can take you out and feel weird. The way that they placed the kids' faces in there and how they literally did like camera moves through, I thought was incredible. And the details of like the pumping tire, and I love the reflection in the sunglasses. There are things that this filmmaker really paid attention to that I thought paid off in a big way.
I also really like the text. I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, I was going to say that's something actually we haven't really been talking about, but typography is a thing, and you obviously see the difference when someone understands layout and when somebody kind of doesn't. But they definitely use that in a great way. I agree with Nick.
And the final submission that we will cover inside of this video comes from Verena Fum for Whipnotic. Let's take a look.
For all the women who like to whip things up, Whipnotic, the new addition to your power arsenal. Less calorie counting, more flavor. Whipnotic is keto-friendly, gluten-free, and guilt-free. So you can focus on what really matters. Delicious taste, zero worries. Because you've got bigger things to think about than nutrition. Whipnotic, flavor that gets you going.
My take on this one, there were technical elements that you could look at in almost every frame and say like little mistakes were made, but I just liked it. Right. It was just like between the message, right. Some of the ambition around the message, right. And the little things like the Frida frames that were well executed and kind of fun and engaging. The using the whipped cream as kind of facial hair on the characters is like kind of just like an introduction of a deeper theme. And I applaud the ambition in that regard.
I will say it's one of the spots that did, and I don't know if this is their actual demo, but it did really try to identify like a target market. Like this is for young professional women that, it did a pretty specific thing, which I think was interesting. It didn't quite make my cutoff, but it was definitely a contender for me. I thought it was creative, interesting, but maybe some of the technical things and just a couple tightening aspects just from a general polish perspective didn't quite hit for me, but definitely a creative endeavor.
Yeah, and I agree about the message. I thought the messaging was great. I actually liked the voiceover a lot, but yeah, I couldn't get past some of the technicalities as we've seen with the other work. And plus it's such a tight competition. So it's like those little things do matter when you're making your choices because, a lot of it, they're all great. So you got to kind of try to find there's a few shortcomings in one versus another, but I thought it still did a great job, just fell short compared to the others.
I actually really liked this one. I think the design aspect, like you were just talking about, like we didn't speak a lot about the titling, and I thought there was a very clear point of view. And I thought the copy was fun that they came up with. I think they pulled a lot of difficult technical things together. And yes, it wasn't perfect, but I thought it really stood out to me as, I think you said it, Nick, earlier, like swinging for the fences. Like this filmmaker was just like, I'm gonna do this thing, and I thought pulled it off really well. I really
also
enjoyed this one.
I did like understand that it was keto friendly and stuff, whereas I don't know if I did get that from some of the other ones. Like I don't know if that like actual product benefits and the product as the hero or like what the product is offering me, I think fell short. And actually, funny enough, and maybe I'm the only one this flew over my head, but the other one that we all really like, also the other Whipnotic one, I did not understand that pressing a button makes the swirl happen. I just like it kind of came and went, and that like wasn't a product feature that resonated for me with that one. But anyway, I know we've already moved off that.
Okay, now that we've reviewed all of the submissions, it's time to award our finalists. So we're going to kick things off by going around and asking our judges to select their third place winner. Any submission that gets a third place vote will receive 1 point. So let's hear what the judges think.
My third place selection is Culture Pop by Andrew Goodman. I just thought, because I'm kind of, I come from a little bit of the old school. And when I say that, I mean by the early 2000s advertising, it reminded me of the days of like the Crispin Porters of the world, putting out really splashy, kind of eye-catching visuals and advertising. And I always say old school is always new school. So it kind of feels like it's fresh again. And I love the vibrancy of it. I love the way that they presented the products and the brand. And I just love the overall vibe and beat of it.
My third place selection was Verena Poom's execution for Whipnotic. When it comes to good advertising, it comes down to just sometimes how engaging it is and how likable it is. Every aspect of the story was engaging and easy to follow. And at the same time, it was visually great. And it had like a really powerful theme to it, as well as bore out some of the key product features. All of those things are hard to do in one ad. And Verena did a great job. So congratulations, Verena.
My third place winner is Riccardo Bernardini for Path. I thought he really swung for the fences and made something really creative and ambitious.
My third place was Culture Pop, Rachel Puchkoff for Fizzy and Gutsy. I thought it was original and fun. It had some great product highlights, and it just left me smiling after watching it.
My third place goes to Ludovic Nastisin, Path. I think that it was such a triumph, unfinished triumph, imperfect triumph, but beautiful, bold, and confident, presenting what appears to be like the best water you could possibly drink, but in the darkest way possible. I don't know how they achieved that. The look and the feel and the texture, it's like breaking with every category convention that there is, but somehow championing both the bottle itself and the water inside it in a way that I've never seen done in this category and probably never will.
Okay, after our third place round, we have a 5-way tie. So let's move on to the second place round. Votes in the second place round are worth 2 points. Let's kick it over to the judges.
For sure. So my second place selection is Path by Ludovic Nastisin, if I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I didn't, but I think everything, Ross said, the reason why he chose it originally is kind of a lot of the reason why I chose it. I think it's epic. I think it's probably the word to use for a water brand. You would never think you would see a water brand be positioned that way. I thought the voiceover, the world building is great. And by the world building, I actually think it will appeal to a lot of like gamers, because it almost feels like a world, like almost feels like we're in Asgard. It's like this dope world. The water's presented in a way where like you feel like you're Thor if you're drinking that water. It actually reminds me a little bit of Fear of God too, just in the styling and the tooling of the spot. So just impressed all around, from art direction to creative direction to execution.
My second place was Roberto Chamara for Path. There weren't a lot of entries that really just aimed directly at poignancy and nailed it, and were also beautifully executed. So well done, Roberto.
My second place winner was Andrew Goodman's Culture Pop Soda. I thought it was exceptionally well done, very straightforward to the point, and quite a technical feat that made me just feel like I was enjoying that soda while watching it.
My second place was for Culture Pop, Simon Meyer, about the fox who wants to change his life. I really was so impressed with the storytelling aspects of it and how he stuck to using kind of traditional filmmaking methods while using all these incredible new AI technologies. I thought it was bold. I connected to it, and I thought it was really refreshing and original.
So my second choice goes to Pathwater, Maxim Serenko. Now, Maxim did something from a storytelling trope perspective that nobody tried to do here, which was split the screen down the middle. And the metaphor here, of course, is that you can take this path or you can take that path, and did it in such a bold and confident way. Now, here you have, playing with symmetry versus asymmetrical decision making, and you've got you have agency as the viewer in this story, and you're going to use this product to make a decision about which side of history you want to end up on. And that is not shaming an audience into your product, but inspiring them into it, and really championing both the product and the user together. And I love that. I think it was a really great idea, well executed. So I want to drink Pathwater because of this spot.
Okay, we currently have 8 finalists, but truly it's anyone's game at this point. And that brings us to our first place round. The votes in this round are worth 3 points each, so let's kick it to the final round.
Culture Pop by Simon Meyer. We talked a little bit about, maybe the mascot could have been slightly different. Maybe could have chose a slightly different animal because of some relatability to previous brands. But what I did like about it that still, to me, trumped that for me personally is that I like that you were able to characterize the brand in a way, which in turn brought some humility to the brand using generative AI. So I thought that was cool. I love what Annie said about using some traditional type camera moves to bring the story to life. And then again, me as someone who's worked in an office setting like that, a 9-to-5er, like you could kind of have all these thoughts going through your head throughout the day. So I related to the character, even though it was an animated character. So I thought that was quite interesting as well. And just overall, just good job in a different direction, one I wouldn't personally think to take if I was doing an AI spot for a brand like that. So I thought it was cool.
My number one submission was Justin Tolley for Whipnotic. I thought all of the aspects of old school filmmaking and creative development were on display here, and all of the aspects of new school AI filmmaking were on display and executed well. Visual presentation, motion graphics, the music was fantastic, and still managed to portray all the product features and really kind of be on brand, beautiful product imagery. So well done, Justin.
My number one pick is Simon Meyer for Culture Pop Soda. I think that the storytelling was exceptionally done. And as our buddy David Ogilvy says, a good ad is one that sells the product without drawing attention to itself. I think it really gives the essence of the product. It showcases the benefits of it without having to even necessarily overindulge in the product itself. And I thought it was very creative. There's the Carfax thing. We'll look into that. We'll check that out. But other than that, I thought it was a really good piece of work.
Congratulations, Justin Tolley. Your Whipnotic campaign is the best of the best of the best. This is an example of AI filmmaking at its best. 84% of ads are ignored. No risk of that happening here. For everybody who thinks that whipped cream is just for Sundays, Justin Tolley just proved that whipped cream is for every day. He has created from sugar in a can a lifestyle brand and brought it to life through sight, sound, and motion, through music, through incredible copywriting, through fantastic permutations of image, masterful work. Put this on TV, put this on social, blast it out for all to see. I wish I could put it in out of home. This deserves to be seen. Incredible work by Justin Tolley.
So for me, my top was Whipnotic Verena Plum. Massive congratulations. I thought it was sophisticated. I thought it had a point of view, and it showed it all off using very technical, kind of difficult technical execution. I think it took a clear direction for the brand, was visually stunning, and just really landed. It was kind of a mic drop moment for me when I saw this one. So congratulations.
Okay, so now comes the moment you've been waiting for. Let's figure out who has won the competition. So in 6th place, we have a 2-way tie between Rachel Puchkoff and Riccardo Bernardini. In fifth place, we have Roberto Camorro and Maxim Serenko. In fourth place, we have a tie between Andrew Goodman and Ludovic Nastesen. And now comes the fun part. The final three winners will receive creative opportunities at Vika, a Curious Refuge t-shirt, enrollment in our AI advertising course, and of course, bragging rights. In addition, they'll also receive a cash prize. So in third place for $500, we have Verena Fum. Congratulations, this is an incredible project. In second place, we have Justin Tolley. It was really hard to pick a winner, but Justin, you did an amazing job in second place. You should be proud. And that means in first place, our grand prize winner and the winner of $5,000 goes to Simon Meyer. Simon showed incredible storytelling skills in his submission, so fantastic work. Now, we also asked the audience to pick their favorite, and the winner of our audience voting was Fabio Garcia. Congratulations, Fabio. You win $500 for receiving the audience favorite votes. And we also asked the brand to pick their favorite submissions as well. So Culture Pop Soda said that their favorite submission comes from Andrew Goodman. Congratulations, Andrew. Whipnotic said that their favorite submission was from Justin Tolley. Pathwater said that their favorite submission came from Roberto Camorro. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on this AI advertising competition. This was our most popular competition to date, so of course we want to do more in the future. I'd also like to extend a huge thank you to Vika for sponsoring this competition. They are really creative innovators in the AI advertising space. I definitely recommend checking out their website. And of course, if you want to learn how to create your own AI ads from scratch, you can check out our AI advertising course at Curious Refuge. It's taught by the legendary Dave Clark alongside some bonus lessons from me. We hope you enjoy that program. You can learn more by clicking the link below this video. If you have any recommendations or suggestions for future competitions, be sure to let us know in the comments of this video, and be on the lookout for a brand new competition starting very soon. Thank you so much for joining us on this creative journey, and congratulations to everyone who submitted a project in this competition. We'll see you in the next one.